Happy Monday, April 13th. Welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, and let's get into the week ahead on the markets. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital. Learn more at amf-capital.de. Let's dive in. Now let's start with the big one. Over the weekend, so yesterday, hopes for a lasting deal between the US and Iran took a hit. Talks in Pakistan didn't get over the line, and the key sticking point remains nuclear development. And honestly, markets care about one thing here: oil. Because the US is now moving toward a potential blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. That's a critical artery for global energy supply, so any escalation here could push oil prices higher and keep inflation sticky. And that's exactly what investors are trying to price in right now. Speaking of inflation, last week's data already showed a noticeable uptick, mainly driven by energy. So now the big question is, does this turn into a broader inflation problem, or is it just a temporary spike? Alright, shifting gears, this week also marks the real kickoff to earnings season, and it starts with the big banks. We've got Goldman Sachs reporting today, JP Morgan Chase tomorrow, and Bank of America midweek. Now this is important, not just for the numbers, but for the messaging. CEOs like Jamie Dimon tend to give pretty honest macro views, and he's already warned about a potential tipping point in the economy. So investors will be watching trading revenues, deal activity, so M&A and IPO pipelines, and also what banks are seeing from consumers. Are people still spending? Are they pulling back after inflation picked up? That's going to matter. We'll also get a read on the consumer side from Albertsons reporting tomorrow, which could give us a more real-world view of how households are coping. Now, another big theme this week: AI demand. We've got ASML reporting midweek, followed by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company later in the week. And here's the thing, TSMC already hinted at strong March revenues, basically confirming that the AI boom is still very much alive. So markets will look for confirmation. Is demand still accelerating, or are we starting to see any slowdown? Quick look back, markets actually had a pretty solid week. The Nasdaq was up 4.7%, the Standard & Poor's 500 gained 3.6%, and the Dow added around 3%. That makes it the second positive week in a row after a pretty rough stretch before that. So, heading into this week, we've got a pretty clear setup. Geopolitics driving oil, inflation still in focus, banks kicking off earnings season, and AI demand under the microscope. Plenty to watch. Alright, that's it for today's Capital Markets Quickie. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and stay in the loop. And if you want more insights, just add me on LinkedIn. Always happy to connect. See you tomorrow morning.